welcome to another episode of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Monday afternoon. I know, weird time. Myself, Drew Skyberg here, bringing you the Wisconsin sports news as always. Please bear with me. YouTube was having some technical difficulties, so my first announcement is the episode that you're hearing right now live on Twitch or Kick will be uploaded to YouTube as a video. So you'll still see it. It'll still be in your feed. Just a little different. Frustrating with YouTube having some difficulties, but still happy to bring you an episode here on Monday. Look, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, starting with Milwaukee Brewers, right? Mainly them in the episode here with the All-Star voting, but yet another successful week where they managed at home to win 2 series that you like to see. We'll also do an immaculate draft today, so that'll be a great part of this episode too. Otherwise, I want to talk about some scheduling here coming up the next week. There's some questions on kind of how that looks, how we're going to be managing, and I'll break it down for you here on the episode. So starting off the schedule, this week you'll hear an episode of Journey to a Million, but then you're going to probably hear me later this week. Why I say that, for an episode of Drew Sports Crew. I'm not gonna have any episodes next week. I'll be unavailable to record, so that means that I'll have that episode for you there. We actually won't have an episode of Journey to a Million next week, so I'll touch on that this Wednesday. But be on the lookout. There'll still be content on the TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. You'll still find all the normal content you see every day on those. So I would just stay on touch on the social media. Give us a follow at True Sports Crew. But otherwise, you'll be in the loop from there. I just want to give that heads up now, so you're wondering where next week's episode is when it comes to next week. So that is the updates there. I was at the Brewers game yesterday. That was a fun one. Brewers getting that win. We'll talk about on how this week again went in the episode. So that's the news there for that. But guess what I got? I got the usual old reliable. I have a good immaculate draft for us to do today. The grid had some Brewers on. I had a 0.1% on a Brewers grid today as I put Enoli Paredes, who was formerly Houston Astro and, of course, a Milwaukee Brewer. So immaculate draft time. Let's go. I thought I knew this one right away. Oh, I know it's Tim Anderson, but initially I thought it was Avisaíl Garcia, but I didn't see the Brewers. That was easy. Good start. Let's go out and write. Another nameless player, Chris Archer. Boom, we are 2 for 2. Okay, next up, let's go to first. We shall see how this one goes. Most career home runs with the Red Sox. Okay. See, JD had some really good years, though, there. So that's where I bring into question where I want to go. Ortiz, I would assume Ortiz is number one. The question is Manny. So this is most career home runs with the Red Sox. Ortiz, Devers, Martinez, Williams, and Ramirez. Devers has to be high on this list. I honestly think JD might be last just because it comes down to volume, right? Manny probably – does he have more than Ted there? Does he have more than Devers, though? This is tough. I'm going to say this. Incorrect. It was Williams, Ortiz. I would not have guessed Ted. I should have had Ted higher, but I would have said Ortiz had more. So Ted, Ortiz, Ramirez, Devers, Martinez. I had Martinez last. We'll take Josh Bell. Cubs before they adopted their initial name. I should know this. Is it the Windrunners? Orphans. I would not have got that. Sorry, Cubs. What Hall of Famer suspended 5 games for spitting in the face of an umpire? I don't know. I initially would say Canseco. I would say someone who's on steroids. But I don't think it was him. Did Albert Bell do that? Is Bell even a Hall of Famer? Yeah, I don't know. Canseco's not a Hall of Famer. What am I doing? Oh, Bell's not either. I'm just gonna say Roberto Alomar. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, it's right. Wow, I did not think that was right. Roberto Alomar is correct. I vividly remembered it was someone in the 2000s who did it. Obviously, I wasn't around then, but I had a feeling I could get that. Wow. Okay. Next up, name this player. My guess is it was a starting pitcher. I no, it's Michael Conforto. Okay, we are gonna take cargo. This is the Milwaukee Brewers. What team switched from the American to National League? 98. Only 57. We are doing very well today. We're at 5 right now. We could get a 7 out of 9. Who is this player? That's Jonathan Lucroy in a Cubs uniform. That's who that is. I'm just going to put Jonathan Lucroy. That's who that is. Okay. Last one. DH. The Tequila Sunrise. Is that Tampa or Miami? I don't actually know. I'm going to say Tampa. Houston. That makes sense because they have Minute Maid Park orange juice. Makes sense. Okay. Well, a 6 out of 9 today on the Immaculate Draft. Pretty good. We can get it in the Brewer portion of the show, but this actually really had a lot of Milwaukee Brewers in here. Had Luke Roy, right? Had the 98, going back to the Brewers there. Um, Pretty good. Had someone in the chat get the Houston one. Congrats. Yeah, I didn't know that. Maybe that's just a lack of not knowing the Astros uniforms, but I should have got that one. Intuitively, it makes sense. All right, let's get into the episode here. Talking through the Brewers All-Star voting came out today. I wanted to touch on that here to kick us off. You're listening right away on Monday. This is still relevant. The Brewers that are getting votes right now. Going through it, there's some guys who are getting snubbed. Unfortunately, that's kind of not what we. Contreras, who leads all NL catchers in voting right now, so that's pretty important. He is on top right now with 746,000 votes. Number 2 is JT Realmuto with 568. So he's or 558 rather. So he's gonna. He looks like he's pretty safe right now. He's gonna hang in there. And plus, unfortunately for the Phillies, JT Realmuto is getting surgery. He'll be out for a little bit, so he's gonna probably lose some ground. Going on into the DH spot, there is a Brewer who is in 4th right now. It is Rhys Hoskins. It doesn't look like he's going to get the spot, though, due to the fact that Ohtani has over 1 million votes already, and Hoskins has 100,000, but also the fact that Schwarber and Ozuna both have over 400,000. So probably won't happen. In the outfield, Christian Yelich is the second leading vote getter. This is pretty cool to see. He is gonna he has a spot locked up. I'd say he's at 820,000 right now. At the point where others are, for example, Cody Bellinger at number 8 is at 350, so he should be fine. There, Willie Adames is getting snubbed. I would say so far he's only number 5. Ellie De La Cruz has 320,000. Adames is 137,000. And even Orlando Arcia, former Brewer, has 147. So he should have more votes. Joey Ortiz, who is statistically probably the best first baseman in the NL. Alec Bohm, who's having a great season nonetheless, who should be one of the 2 third basemen on it, are, he's running away with it. He has over 1 million votes. 1,012,000. He's more than Ohtani. How does he have more than Ohtani? You know what I mean? Like that baffles me. I believe he has more. That's what I read. But the point is, yeah, he does. Philly fans are voting. That's what's happening. But it's like the Royals that 1 year in 2015 where almost everyone won the voting. But Joey Ortiz is somehow in third. Machado's had him by 23,000 or so. It goes Bohm with over 1 million, and then Machado with 267,000. So he has it locked up already. It's crazy to see. So it looks like Bohm's going to be there. Second base, this is the worst snub I've seen. Bryce Terang is just not there. Even though he's been better than Luis Ariz, who's leading it right now. Ariz leads it because he's just a hit merchant. He just gets all the hits. And it's unfortunate that even though Ariz's poor defensive numbers and low exit velo will still get him it just based on the name. Ketel Marte's deserving there. Bryson Stott, it's Bryce Terang. It should be. That one I'm a little shocked about. The question was always, well, Terang's going to be a reserve, but I'm shocked that we're seeing that and we're not seeing him even there. No Martin Maldonado. That was who we were rooting for in the AL. He's unfortunately, did he get any votes? Let me look where he's at the catcher spot. He's not in the top 5, and that's what makes us sad. We were rooting for him to make it in the AL, even with his poor stats. But right now, what we're looking at in terms of the position players, we're seeing that Yelich and Contreras might start in the All-Star game, and then the hope is Terang and Ortiz are reserves, as they should be, which I think they will be. But we might have 2 Brewers start the All-Star game. That'd be cool. So that is the plan. That's your All-Star update here on the podcast. Let's go to the Brewers. Let's talk about how this week has gone. And again, it was a pretty good week. There were some frustrating games, some not so great games, but also some great games, right? So, they had earlier this week, you saw the Toronto Blue Jays come into town. Kind of talked through that series a little bit there. Monday they win 3-1, close game. It was close games most of the week. We saw they had 2 3-1 wins. Did the Brewers? Every other win was by 1 run in the 4-3 week they had. It was 3-1 win Monday. The Carlos Rodriguez debut, they lost 3-0. Rodriguez had a not so great outing, but it was really unfortunate. He had a lot of bad luck in terms of he allowed soft contact that ended up being base hits and so on. That was something the bats just didn't show up on Wednesday. The 5-4 win was nice. They were able to hold off the comeback that the Blue Jays had. McGill came in, got the job done. Trevor McGill had a really good week, I would say so. He's just been consistently locking down, the 9th inning. Obviously, that Miami game earlier, a couple weeks ago, we saw him give up a blown save, but it ended up being with some bad luck involved. The Brewers, Friday, I think Friday the game. Like if you look at this week, like Friday is the worst loss they've had. It was they had the 9th inning, Jackson Chourio with the clutchest hit of his career, right? A two-run game-tying single, we thought. It was either that or we had Jerry Lane then send Jason Lane sent Jake Bauers home, and we saw Bauers get rung up at home. That's confirmed. Not so great send, but the game was still alive. It was second and third, 2 outs. We had Blake Perkins up first pitch with 2 outs. Keep in mind, nobody's at first. 2 runners on second and third. Blake Perkins lays down a bunt, pops it up, ends the game. He talked about not wanting intention. He had more of a team player intention where, hey, I want to surprise these guys, bunt, I'll get on first, let the guy behind me do the job, which doesn't really make sense. There's 2 outs. So it's having the guy behind you do the job, the runner, you as the runner at first does not matter in a 1-run game in the bottom of the 9th, right? The runner on second and third, really the runner on third matters, right, to tie the game. So the thought process didn't even really make sense to me was, bunting, but then saying, okay, well, I'm trying to be a team player with it being 2 outs. I just think that was not even great situational management there. And it was his own doing, it seemed. Pat Murphy talked about having to talk with him. From there, I think that's how you move forward on this one. And he talked about also just day in, day out, different game. And we saw that Sunday. We saw that in the 5-4 win the Brewers had on Sunday, and that featured a come from behind win as Joey Ortiz headed the Saturday. It was Willie Adames right on Sunday. It was a go-ahead 3-run home run off of Lucas Sims, who came in first pitch, a slider low. He sat on it, got it, pulled it. Classic Willie Adames. He has multiple hits, multiple home runs 6th inning or later, and he's been really, really effective coming in those clutch situations. It's been him and Gary Sanchez. That's all you need. That's all you need in the clutch. Those two have been phenomenal. Bryce Terang was manufacturing runs yesterday, just simple steal, get to third, and then get brought home. It was pretty cool to see Terang just navigate the bases too, and great defensive game for him as well. Colin Ray didn't have his best stuff, but Colin Ray was effective nonetheless. Quality start for him. You gotta like what you've seen from him. He's been actually the Brewers' most consistent pitcher. We talked about this last week. That's continued after a 2-star week this past week. He's been very good and just really dominant. I talked about Terang. I want to go through the wins above replacement, talk about where we are, and this is per Baseball Reference. Bryce Terang has actually surpassed Contreras even. Again, defensive WAR is a huge part of this. Terang is at a 3 WAR. Right now he's on pace to have almost an MVP type season in terms of WAR, which is crazy to think about. It helps with his defense again. William Contreras at 2.7, especially at the catcher position. That's very valuable. Brian Hudson we talk about with a 2 WAR. He's a guy who's been actually left off people's all-star teams, even in the national media, which is pretty mind-boggling considering he is the type that the media hates. It's the reliever who doesn't get the counting stats, but has an ERA of like 1 or less, 1.5 or less, and comes into high leverage situations. It's something that they don't know how to account for, I feel. And he's a guy who nonetheless should be an all-star. Matt Strahm also with the Phillies probably should get in there. Guys like that who don't get the saves, but put together the dominant outings and coming in the high leverage situation with runners on. Those are the guys who need to be all-stars, especially in the National League. There's a lot of those types of guys. Joey Ortiz is number 4 there with now a 2 WAR as well. Adames 1.9. Honestly, Adames is probably, going back to All-Star one more time, Adames is probably the fringe guy who I think gets left off just because of how the shortstop position is in the NL. Maybe he gets in as a injury replacement, but he's a guy who, if he doesn't get in actually because there's other guys, like you can understand. You're frustrated, but you understand, I feel. He's kind of on the fringe there. How about Jared Koenig? Jared Koenig, opener this week, pitched well, came in a high leverage situation yesterday, gave up a home run, I know, but Jared Koenig, we are truthers of Jared Koenig, as we are with Jake Bauers. Not a great week to be a Jake Bauers truther. Didn't really go his way, but Koenig with a great outing. You gotta love Jared Koenig. Bryce Wilson too on Saturday. How about him? Very effective. I love the Wilson Koenig piggyback start. Just keeps hitters off balance and some good stuff. So that's kind of what I want to talk about there on the WAR report. What we're seeing. Let's talk about this upcoming week here for the Brewers. West Coast trip. This is my least favorite part always, but trust me, there's light at the end of the tunnel because of next week's schedule. I love it. Okay, so this week, here you go. You got the Angels for 3. And then you got the Padres for 4. All on the road, West Coast style, you know the drill, Brewers after dark. They have the 3 game against the Angels. All 3 first pitches are at 8:38 p.m. Central. 8:38. I don't know why. I don't know how they do that, but that's that. And then the Padres, you got them 8:40 on Thursday, 8:40 on Friday, 6:10 on Saturday, and 3:10 on Sunday. Not a fan of any of those times, unfortunately. 6:15 on Saturday. I believe that game's actually on Fox, so that's not the worst. And yeah, it is. But the other one's not a big fan of. So that is what you're looking at though for this week. You got the Cubs at AmFam next weekend. Not this weekend, but the next weekend. So Craig Counsell gets another return video, maybe. We'll see what the Brewers do. I'm kidding. But that's what we're looking at. And in terms of probable pitchers, the 3-game series, we have Carlos Rodriguez tonight. We have Tobias Myers on Tuesday, who let's see if he can keep his dominant stretch up. Tobias Myers has solidified himself, I would say, right behind Colin Ray. He's right there with him and Peralta. Peralta struggled, but those three are the guys you can really lean on right now. Let's see how Rodriguez does today. I trust him. I'm confident in him having a nice bounce back start here tonight. Hopefully, he can go a little longer. Brewers bullpen's actually, I would say, kind of rested. They didn't use Hudson yesterday, but they had to use him on Saturday, so we'll see kind of how they use him there. But they also have a long week ahead, so maybe they're going to be pretty. Just let them roll. Myers on Tuesday, Freddie Peralta on Wednesday, and then we'll probably see. We might see Bryce Wilson again on Thursday, is my guess, and then maybe we go right back to Colin Ray on Friday. Not too sure how they're going to do it. They might want to get another guy in there. I don't know if it's going to be like a Jansen Junk kind of thing. I actually just thought about Jacob Junis might be ready. He had another setback, so that's why he originally was going to be in here, but it's not. What honestly could happen if Rodriguez doesn't go well tonight? He goes back down and Junis is activated. He's going to pitch Thursday. Maybe that's it. Murphy's got a lot of options, and we got to trust what he's doing. As the record shows that the Brewers are up 6.5 games to the Cardinals, 42-29, right? 13 games over 500. They almost have a better record than the Dodgers. Can't get too far ahead of that. They're only 2 games back of the Dodgers, but why that matters is the top 2 seeds, as you all know, get the bye in the National League in the wild card round, and the Brewers have been given fits in that first round now the last couple of years just because that first round's no guarantee. We saw it last year with the Arizona Diamondbacks. You host a 3-game series at home. Everybody's excited. Everybody's crazy. Good crowd, good atmosphere. Does not necessarily mean a win. So that's what we're looking at, and let's have a great week, everyone. So that's all I got here on the sports side. Once the NBA Finals wraps up, we're going to have more Bucks news. Once that Jordan Love extension comes in, I will have the numbers breakdown on that. But otherwise, that's all the news here this week at Drew Sports Crew, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and TikTok, of course, Drew Sports Crew. That'll wrap it here for myself, Drew Skyberg. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.